always say this. Paul George is the second most talented player in the NBA, and here he goes play. I'm talking about how big he is, and his skills go back in front 3 minutes to play in the third. George crosses over, Smith takes it in, what can't? He's two-way. He's a really good two-way player, which is good enough for me. Paul George has taken over the game in here. He is at the other end. Paul George is one of the most skilled players in the NBA today, but in his draft class, 9 different teams passed on him, including 3 teams that picked a better player in the exact same position as him. How is that even possible? Well, most of these picks were just big mistakes. A few had really good talent, and one guy looked like Derrick Rose to 0. Here is the shot from far away, putting it down for 3 hits. He still got his bounce. So from an NBA nightmare come true to a high school mixtape legend. Here's what happened to the 9 players drafted before Paul George. But first, therapy has been a huge part of my life for years. It's helped me through tough times, given me clear thinking, and is one of the big reasons I felt confident enough to start Henry Hoops' YouTube channel in the first place without help from a trusted professional. My life would look a lot different. So that's why I am excited that today's sponsor is BetterHelp. BetterHelp connects you with a licensed therapist who is trained to listen and give you helpful, unbiased advice. You can have your therapy sessions as a phone call, as a video chat, or even messaging if you prefer that, whatever is the most comfortable version of therapy for you. To get started, click the link in the description for 10% off your first month. Fill out that questionnaire, which will ask you questions about the challenges you're going through and what kind of therapists you'd like. And then BetterHelp can match a therapist to help you. And if the therapist you're first matched with doesn't feel right, which is common when starting therapy, you can easily switch to a new therapist at no additional cost without stressing about insurance, who's in your network, or anything like that. It's so much easier to switch therapists when it's online. So if you think you might benefit from therapy, consider BetterHelp. Click the link in the description or visit Come Henry Hoops. It really helps the channel and gets you 10% off your first month of BetterHelp, so you can connect with the therapist and see if it's right for you now before diving into the 9 players drafted ahead of PG-13. Let's look at why he fell to the 10th pick in 2010 in the first place. The George we know today is one of the most talented players in the NBA, 69 athletic, and a great 3-level scorer with ball handling skills, but that wasn't always the case coming out of high school. The George was only a 3-star recruit. He was ranked 20th best basketball player in California, but that was way below stars like DeMar DeRozan and Drew Holiday. He wasn't heavily recruited and ended up at a smaller college, Fresno State, after 2 solid college seasons. He blew up on the NBA's radar for his highlight dunks and gifted scoring ability. Sports Illustrated named him the 8th most interesting player in college basketball. He declared for the NBA draft in March 2010, but the critics weren't totally sold. Some scouts warned that George had a weak handle, was not efficient, and turned the ball over too much. But then other scouts compared him to Scottie Pippen and said that he had really good athleticism and ability to space the floor. One anonymous scout even said, quote, "In 5 years, Paul George would be the best player to come out of this draft. Trust me," basically drafting Paul George had some risk, but teams knew they were getting a solid player with a ton of potential. So if Paul George was possibly a Scottie Pippen-like prospect, what about the 9 other players drafted before? What was their scouting report and what happened to them in the NBA? First pick in the 2010 NBA draft was John Wall from the University of Kentucky. Wall was one of the most exciting high school prospects of all time. His high school mixtape is the stuff of legends, and coaches were drooling over his mix of athleticism, size, and game sense at Kentucky. He and another top pick from this draft were primetime TV on a night-to-night basis. In his lone season, Wall was first-team All-American and won the Adolph Rupe award as the best player in division. Won after going to Washington with the #1 pick, Wall made an immediate impact in the NBA. He averaged 16 points and 8 assists and was a sure Rookie of the Year. If Blake Griffin didn't pull Ben Simmons and win it in his second year, John Wall's lightning speed, handle, and ability to get into the defense paired perfectly with the Wizards' 2012 draft pick Bradley Beal from 2013 to 2018. Wizards made the playoff each year except for 2016, and according to Wall, LeBron was afraid to play them in the playoffs and DUC. Yeah, that 1617. Hey, we was going to beat the crap out of LeBron. John Wall peaked in 2016 when he averaged 23 points, 10 assists for rebounds, and shot 48% effective field goal percentage. But Wall, like a lot of players on this list, had his career messed up by injuries after making 5 All-Star games and an All-NBA team. John Wall tore his Achilles in February 2019. He hasn't been the same since then and has jumped from team to team. Looking for a meaningful role, he went to the Rockets, who needed a veteran to lead the team through a rebuild, but Wall couldn't buy in after the Rockets traded him. He went on a podcast and ripped into the team. The Rockets experienced trash. I know beyond trash. Like in July 2022, he signed with the Clippers, and it looked like he was ready to be a point guard on a championship contending team. Wall played 40 games with the team, then got hurt in January, which made the Clippers trade Wall and sign a healthy Russell Westbrook. Unfortunately, he went back to the Rockets, who immediately cut him. I wouldn't be surprised if the podcast Trash Talk went into their decision. John Wall's career is a brutal reminder of the business of the NBA. The dude had all the talent in the world. His body just led him down. The second pick in the 2010 NBA draft was a player who looked like the future. Evan Turner from Ohio State University, a 4-star recruit. Evan Turner was a late bloomer. He played 3 seasons at Ohio State in his junior year. He averaged 20 points, 9 rebounds, and 6 assists. He swept basically every major award and led his team to a Big Ten Conference Championship. Scouts compared him to Brandon Roy and basically described him as a early version of Luka Doncic, a Rook 7 point guard who you could run your entire offense through. Philadelphia drafted him, and it looked like the type of player to turn a franchise around both on and off the court, but at the higher level of the NBA. Turner just couldn't cut it. His rookie year, he averaged 7 points and 4 assists, and while he put up better numbers later in his career, Turner just couldn't score the ball well for his career. He had an effective field goal percentage of 45% and shot 29%. From 3, he peaked at 17 points, 5 rebounds, and 6 assists on the 2013 Philadelphia 76ers, but that team went 1963. Turner made such little impact on winning that he was sent to the Pacers at the trade deadline of that season. Looking back, this was an awful pick for the process in Philadelphia. Turner lasted 10 years in league and had solid moments as a role player, but he didn't live up to the hype. He wasn't the franchise-changing player that was promised, but you can't blame the scouts for that. His resume looked perfect today. You can find E.T. chatting about hoops with Andre Iguodala on their podcast. Point forward, the 3rd pick in the draft was a high school stud, Derek Favors of Georgia Tech. Derek Favors was the #1 ranked player in the class of 2009. He was the MVP of the McDonald's All-American Game and the MVP of the Jordan Brand Classic in 1 season at Georgia Tech. He averaged 12 points and 9 rebounds. He was projected as a near-perfect modern big standing at 6'10", with really long arms, bounce, and great hands. He could score the ball on the inside and had great instincts on the defensive end too. He seemed like an early version of Anthony Davis, and Adidas bet on that potential signing Favors to a multi-year deal before the draft. The new Jersey Nets picked Favors with the 3rd overall pick. His NBA career was solid, but he never dominated the league the way many had hoped in his rookie year. He averaged 6 points and 5 rebounds per game, then was part of the trade for Williams that sent Favors to the Utah Jazz. Favors found a home in Utah and spent 10 seasons with the Jazz. He became a starting center in 2014 and for 2 years averaged 16 points and 8 rebounds. He had his best game in 2015 when he put up 35 points and 13 rebounds in a win over the Pacers, by the way. Paul George had 48 points in that game. Unfortunately, Favors never evolved past an NBA role player. The Hawks signed him to a 10-day contract in 2023, but he never saw the court still. Favors played 12 years in the NBA and made a ton of money doing so. His career earnings rack up to $130 million, which is impressive and a lot more than most guys in his classes. 4th pick in the 2010 NBA draft was Wesley Johnson of Syracuse. University Johnson had a confusing path to the league as a freshman at Iowa State. Johnson was named to the Big 12 All-Rookie team after averaging 12 points and 8 rebounds per game in his sophomore season. He got worse. He averaged less points, rebounds, and shot a worse percentage than a year before, with a lack of growth weighing on him. He transferred to Syracuse due to the NCAA transfer rules. He had to sit out the entire season, but the move ended up paying off. Johnson averaged 16 points, 8 rebounds, and 5 steals and blocks per game, being